Prince Harry's legal battle with the government over his police protection in the UK was back in court today for another review.
Now, this is after his automatic right to armed bodyguards was taken away following his decision to step back from royal duties.
Our correspondent Oliver Whitfield-Miočić joins us in the studio. You're just back from the court, Ollie. Quite a scene there. The Prince wasn't there, but we discussed this earlier. This essentially revolves around Prince Harry's demand that he gets full royal protection from the police when he comes here. The police say you're no longer a frontline royal, therefore you're a normal citizen. We're not guns for hire. You ain't getting it.
Yeah, it's this huge argument about whether he should be allowed to pay for the Metropolitan Police and their very specialised officers and then use those for the protection of not only himself and his family. Now, of course, Prince Harry is born into this really unique situation. He was born into the royal family. His personal safety has been put at risk at times because of threats that have emerged. But then, of course, he made that very personal decision to leave the royal family. Now, the view of the government is that when you leave, you should be like any other member of the public. And most people do not call up the police saying, can I pay you for you to come and protect me with an armed guard? But Prince Harry's legal team say this is a special case, and actually the Metropolitan Police are paid to go to football events, to marathons, and so that's the principle in which this should be dealt with.
Yeah, but my point would be, as we discussed earlier, yes, the football clubs pay the police, but it's only because they decide to do it. If they didn't give the football clubs, if the football clubs didn't give the police the money, the police would still have to go to the matches. So it's kind of different there. Now, Prince Harry also, of course, says, well, I get death threats. I'm a member of the royal family. I'm a special case. Well, a lot of celebrities get death threats. So having resigned, if you like, from frontline royal duties, he is, in a sense, a famous private citizen. So why should he get protection when, I don't know, Tom Cruise or Adele don't?
I think, imagine if anything were to go wrong. We've got a prince here who has approached the court, approached the police, saying he's willing to pay for that protection. If something went wrong, the uproar, the fury, I can imagine, would be absolutely huge. Now, the prince does pay for his own private security, both in the United States and when he is here in the UK. But it's a really intricate case because they're going through different layers of the law, how it applies not only to an individual, but a former member of the royal family. It's not something we've really had to deal with before, somebody up in sticks and moving to the United States. And so it's really complex. And on top of that, there is already the judicial review that is being granted for an earlier sort of related part to his security, which was that decision by the government to strip away his access to that security. So it's all interlinked and woven.
And of course,
I think, Daisy and Ollie, I think it's this. This is all about his lust for status. He can't stand the fact he hasn't got the same status as the rest of the royal family. Am I right?
Well, I know that a lot of people are not sympathetic to Harry, and particularly the way he's, written the book and sort of in many ways invaded the privacy of his family. However, I think on the security aspect, people will be a bit more sympathetic. Partly because they know how damaged he was by the death of his mother. He blamed that, in a way, on lack of security. He said at the time that her, and he wrote in his book that her bodyguard wasn't up to the job, that she didn't have, proper protection at the time she was in Paris, all the rest of it. And, of course, we know he blames the media. So you've got that as a sort of background to his emotions on this. And then we know that these threats to him are genuine because we've had that confirmed by the Metropolitan Police. This isn't a figment of his imagination.
No, it isn't. So the interview that we heard last year from Neil Basu, he was the former Assistant Chief Commissioner for the Metropolitan Police, he detailed how Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, had been targeted, that these were credible threats, people had been sent to jail for them. So there is that sort of awareness that these are very high-risk individuals when it comes to being targeted in public life.
It's not just people booing them. I think that's the point. It's not just them thinking, poor us, we're not popular. It's much more than that.
Yeah, but also, I mean, superstars get genuine life threats as well. I mean, mean, what is it with this guy, Harry? I mean, he's got his lawyers on speed dial. He's got so many legal cases
He's
going
messianic
on.
about
As
it.
I said, it's a bit like confetti. You know, we won't ever need for ticker tape ever again. We can just use Harry's legal papers. What is it about him? Why is he suing everybody?
Well, he's got the time on his hands now, doesn't he? He is no longer having to go royal walkabouts, royal occasions. This is somebody who's got the time on his hands, somebody who wants to, what he sees as put the wrongs of the past right. And he sees that not only with elements of the media, he sees that with the treatment that he's received, not only from the royal family, but from the government. I have to say, on a lot of the stories that we do, the noise that you hear online about these is usually pretty negative about things, especially to do with Harry. On this occasion, I have been quite surprised with the amount of people who say they actually agree that Harry should be given some level of protection because he was a fully working member of the royal family. They understand the security situation, but also somebody that was in the armed forces. And so it's just one of those stories that, again, is going to divide opinion.
And I think many of us forget that the royal family are constantly targeted. And, you know, Louis Mountbatten is the only member of the royal family in recent, you know, in the last 50 years or so, who was successfully assassinated by terrorists. But there have been a number of... Princess Anne coming back, you know, and having her bodyguard shot. I mean, when Prince Charles had his investiture in Wales as a very young man, there were 4 bombs, credible bombs, that were planted. They happened not to go off at the time they were meant to go off, but one went off the next day and took the leg off a 10-year-old boy. You know, we forget that there have been... The Queen had a number of attempts, one when she was on horseback at Trooping the Colour. And it's, I think as a nation, we forget this family is at risk, and Harry is pretty much, apart from Andrew, the least popular member of that family. He's therefore going to be at more risk.
Well, conversely, he recused himself from royal duties. He doesn't do royal duties. He's not a frontline member of the royal family. Therefore, frankly, according to the Home Office and the police, he becomes another famous celebrity. Nothing more than that. I'm just putting out their argument.
And where do you draw the line there? So what the Metropolitan Police and what the Home Office have put forward in their submissions today was the view of this committee, which sits under the Home Office, who decides whether it is going to be ex-royal or Y-royal or ex-prime minister who gets this sort of protection is, if you open this up to the public, being able to pay, what you create is a 2-tier police service where the wealthy, and what they said was buy the services of the police at their time of choosing and having armed guards roll around with them. We don't have the resources for that. We don't have the police officers. These are highly trained people. It's all about that balancing act. But this is a court case which we know Harry is going to keep on fighting.
Yeah, and as you said, the precedent, the legal precedent will be so important. So really, really worth reporting on. Ollie, thank you
Good
so
stuff, Ollie.
much.